Welcome back to the second episode of Gdf Diaries Season 1. Today we are joined by the amazing and phenomenal Jeremy Indika. Thank you for coming to our show.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you so much. So I connected with you on LinkedIn, which is great. Guys, get into LinkedIn because I didn't know there was a different world out there, but you meet people like him. Can you tell us a little about yourself, like your background, how old you are, what you do? You don't have to tell us your age if you don't want to, but feel free to. What do you do and all that stuff?
Okay, so my name's Jeremy Indika. I'm 36 years old and I'm currently raising awareness for child sexual abuse. And I'm trying to do that in the most creative ways that I can think of, using film, animation, photography, illustration, because I'm trying to make the subject that is normally very uncomfortable to read about or view, I'm trying to make it more engaging and interesting to get people's eyes on it, because I believe that it's everybody's concerned what's going on out there.
100.
And we just need to make some changes. So it's like I'm on this mission now to try to spread the awareness of this topic.
That's it. I love that. I'm with you. And do you want to tell people your channel or your socials just so they can find out about more? Yeah.
So my Instagram and the rest of the platforms is all under Jeremy Indika. My YouTube channel is under Jeremy Indika, and my website is jeremyindika.com. That's INDIKA, spell my surname. So you can just check out all the content there. There's lots. So.
Make sure you check that out, guys. Okay, so I'm just going to dive straight in. Would you be able to tell me or share with us your story?
Yeah, fantastic. So this all started when I was 8 years old. It was sexual abuse that was carried out on me. It lasted like 2 years, and it was quite a horrific. When we look back at it now, it's a horrific situation. The whole situation's absolutely horrific. But what I'm trying to explain more when I tell my story is that it's a complete I was completely brainwashed into thinking that what I was doing with this man was normal. He had put to me that we were friends. He had access to me through family. He was a trusted member of the family. We hear this a lot.
Yeah, that's what I'm like,
We hear this a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, what is it? That statistic is something like 90% of all abusers
someone that you know,
are known to the family.
That's it.
And for anybody from the outside, they're like, but how could anybody in the family do this? And we just need to talk about the whole situation more so we understand more about it.
That's it, yeah.
So he had groomed me successfully, very successfully, into thinking that what we were doing was normal. It was obviously, it's not like we went straight into things. It would have been a gradual process, right? Maybe it was just being really friendly with me to start with. Maybe it was just a hand on the leg to start with, and then progressively getting to the sexual acts.
That's it.
And at the time, I thought we were just great friends. Look, I was 8 years old. It was 1993. There was no internet. There was no way. Children aren't educated like they are now with regards to sex, and it was more stigmatized.
I can't believe he was 8. So
yeah, it's so crazy.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. You think if you know of anybody who is under 8 years
I'm just
old,
thinking about my nieces and nephews.
Yes,
I'm just like, what?
There you go. It's so crazy. You're still like a child.
Yeah.
And the body of a child.
I'm getting angry, sorry.
So crazy.
Yeah.
So the guy that was doing this to me was 25 years old.
Wow.
He was a nurse.
Oh my
and he was actually in society a good guy, right? So you would have never have thought that he would be somebody that would do something like that. Not this stereotypical thing that the media portrayed.
Like
as
a
kind
scary
of
person,
like 60 years old.
Yeah, sitting at
behind his
home watching.
computer.
Exactly, it's not that.
It's not that.
Yeah.
I reckon if we knew the true statistics, I reckon a tiny percentage of
Would
those
look
people
like that.
are like that.
Other people are your next door neighbours or your best
Absolutely.
friends even. Like,
Successful
you wouldn't know.
people in good jobs like this guy. He was a nurse, right? So this lasted for a couple of years. It finished when I was 10.
Wow.
And when it finished, I just went back to the kid that I was before. And that kid was energetic, confident, doing well at school, playing lots of sport, lots of friends. It wasn't, I swear, I think we feel like
They have to turn into this person. No one talks to me. Yeah.
It's like you could walk into a classroom and you can spot anybody that this has happened to.
That's it.
It's not the case. It's not the case. I was a thriving student. And it's great because I've even asked the people who know me now that knew me then, now that you know what happened, when you look back, in hindsight, could you pick out things about me that you're like, that was a sign? People are like, no chance.
Wow.
In fact, out of the friendship group that I was in, they would have said you would have been one of the last people we would have picked.
That's crazy.
I grew into a teenager, still lots of friends, very social, very confident, doing well at school.
It's crazy that you say that because some people completely go the different way, and you literally just continued life.
Just continued.
Yeah.
Just continued. So let's say I'm 15 now, doing well, like I say, doing well at school, playing lots of sport. I believe I never forgot about what happened, but I just didn't care about it. Because when I started hanging out with getting interested with girls and getting with girls, I do remember sometimes being like, oh my God, I've done all this before. But I just didn't care enough about it. I was too young to even process it, you know? Then I get to 18, I go to college, finish college, I get a career in engineering. So mechanical design engineering, I get an apprenticeship in aerospace industry, designing aircraft. So like it's like the start of this career.
Life,
Great friends, getting paid well. I run that career. I'm doing so well in these areas of my life. I'm partying at the weekends. I'm enjoying
living your
out.
best life.
Yeah. Had a great set of mates. We were going on city breaks. We had good money. Everything was great. Like everything was really, really good. But then I turned 25 and everything changed.
Wow, okay.
I was actually working overseas, right? So I was working in the aerospace industry and I was working in Dubai. And I was sitting,
nice.
Yeah, it's so flashy.
I can imagine. I ain't been there, so I'm like, ooh.
It's so flashy.
Yeah.
Sitting in the hotel room, I remember this moment so much and I was like, oh my God, I'm feeling real sad, like real down in a different type of way.
Right.
What's that about? This is weird. It just felt uncomfortable and different. So I just sat with it for a bit. The months went on, continued working, continued partying, all that great stuff. I kept hitting these low bouts, like that started lasting longer and longer and longer. And then it was like a light bulb moment. I was like, oh my God, it's that. It's those memories.
They're kind of coming back, like knocking on your door.
Yeah, knocking on my door. I was like, but I've been fine since then.
That is really interesting. It's kind of blown my mind because 25.
Yeah.
Wow.
But never forgot it, just never cared. I must add that.
Yeah.
You know, because so let's say there's a couple of things that I remember that would remind me about it, right?
Right. Trigger points.
We went to a fancy dress party and somebody was dressed as Jimmy Savile.
Right.
And there was something in my brain that was just wasn't sure about that.
You don't want to, yeah.
There's a film called Sleepers, right? And that's about abuse in a boarding school. It's an intense film, old school film. And I remember it being on at a mate's house and it just made me feel I had to make some excuse up and go. So it was always there, but never bothering me. But now, 25, it's bothering me.
Cool.
I decided that the best thing for me to do was just to ignore the memories because they're going to disappear. Maybe this is just a phase, I thought. 2 years later, they're still here, but they're getting stronger. So my strategy was not working. So I knew I needed to do something different. What the hell that thing was going to be, I didn't know. But just so unusually, there was just this urge. It was like there was something inside of me saying, tell somebody.
Wow.
It's so... I didn't know what telling somebody would do, what it meant. I'd never been advised because I'd never spoken this out loud, right? It was only in my head and the man that did this to me's head.
That is so crazy.
So not one other human being on this planet knew. And I was like, I can't tell anybody about this. But with some time, the urge got more and more and more. Now, I've got an incredible set of mates. I met them all in primary school. I'm still mates with them now.
That's so nice.
So I'm one of the lucky ones. Because if I didn't have those people,
support system,
then who knows how I would have dealt with this. I told one of my closest friends. I spoke to him about it. I said to him, I go, mate, we were drinking, right? We were out in a party. And
perfect time to drop that. But go on.
Drinking our beer, and I was like, mate, you're never gonna believe I was like, you know, I've got something to say to you, and you're just never gonna fucking believe this. And I told him, and obviously his response was like,
What? That's a whole lot of thing. Like,
I've known you
yeah,
all this time.
yeah.
What do you mean? Like, it was almost like he couldn't believe it. Angry, sad, frustrated. He felt all of those emotions. But I woke up the next morning and I said to him, mate, that feels incredible. It feels like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders. It was like a release, but surprisingly, I felt strong and confident about it. I was like, whoa, that was powerful. That was incredibly powerful what happened last night. That feels so good. So, following that, I was like, everything's dealt with. But it wasn't fully dealt with. It was just a release.
Yeah.
Over the next couple of years, I started telling more and more people. I told another friend. I told another friend. I told another friend. Then I started telling their wives or girlfriends. And the amount of people that I told started expanding. Each time I spoke, I was growing in confidence. Because they were obviously responding to me being like, fucking hell, that's crazy. Amazing that you've spoken about it. This is madness. So the responses were good, yeah? I was growing in confidence with my story. And each time I would tell somebody, it was like I was telling them in almost a proud manner, yeah? So that was like, now I'm like 29. I'm still working in engineering, still working hard in engineering. And I start researching online, like, who else is going through this kind of thing? What is going on out there? So I start Googling things like survivors of abuse. What is paedophilia? What happens to the brain of a child that this happens to? I just started going crazy in the evenings.
Answers, yeah.
So now I'm working engineering. I'm getting my bag at the end of the shift. I'm going home and now I'm on the computer trying to find all this stuff. I find chat rooms, like thousands of chat rooms.
Oh wow.
People expressing what they went through, how they're trying to manage their experience, how they're trying to manage their pain. I just couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my God, this thing's worldwide. I read a message from a woman, right? She was 80 years old. And she wrote that she will never ever speak to anybody out loud about this. Because she comes from a generation or a world, she comes from a generation that never spoke about this type of thing.
That's so sad.
So sad. And as she was growing up, the world the way it was then, you didn't speak about this type of thing. She said, I'm going to go to the grave with this problem. And it's affected my whole life. It's affected my relationships. It's affected my family. And I thought, oh my God, this is so sad. I must have read that message 30 times. I couldn't get over it.
Yeah.
So I was like, I should try and do something about this, because I'm fortunate enough to have had the reaction from childhood to just keep going. Right? I didn't go down the addiction route. I didn't go down the drugs route. I didn't go down the destruction route. Thankfully, it's almost like I have an opportunity here in some weird way. I've spoken to like 20 people now about it out loud. I'm going to try and do something about this, but what am I going to do about this? Coincidentally, 2 weeks prior to me thinking this, I'd been to an open mic night in London. Right?
Ding ding.
Yeah. I was like, well, that would be a thing.
Yeah.
Why don't I go to one of these open mic nights? You can sign up on the door. You get 5 minutes on stage to do what you want. Right? So I start looking for one. I go to them. The first one was at the Ritzy in Brixton.
Check
right?
you.
Oh my God.
I'll check you.
Oh my God. I turn
You're
up.
shitting yourself.
Oh my God, I can't even believe that it happened. I remember turning up nice and early. I put my name on the list. She was like, yeah, you're fourth.
Oh, okay.
Right? There's a crowd of people all drinking,
loud.
all loud and that. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm in the wrong place. I'm in the wrong place. This is ridiculous. There's musicians, there's singers, there's a few poets, and then there's me. I went as a storyteller. And I remember sitting downstairs, I got myself a drink, and I remember saying to myself, my heart was racing.
I can imagine.
And I said to myself, right, look, this is the deal. you don't have to do this, but just do it. And if you don't like it, never do it again.
That's it.
But just try it. So I got on the stage, I told my story. It went incredible. The response was incredible. So obviously then I was like, right, that's a good thing.
Doing it again.
Yeah? So I spent some time doing that. I just finished my latest engineering project, and I was like, what I want to do right now is I want to do this full time, just for a little while, and see where it goes. So I told my boss, next month I'm going to finish work. So I finished work. I packed all my stuff. I give up my flat, and I was like, right, I've got these savings that I collected during my engineering career. I'm going to keep those and use those just to do this full time a little bit. So I was speaking like 4 or 5 times a week, picking any venue. I started not only talking about my story, I started talking about like prevention methods. What are the people? Where are the people that are doing these things? Where are they hiding? And I couldn't stop thinking about the fact that if I'm going to stand on stage and start talking about things like that, I haven't found out where my guy is, and if he's still doing this.
It's true.
And I felt like that was my responsibility. So I started searching for him. I started searching online.
That's really brave.
Yeah, this is where it just starts getting mad.
Yeah.
It was like, at the time, did I feel like this is crazy, this is brave? Of course I was like nervous about anxious about the whole thing, but it was like, this is what you should do. Yeah. I couldn't find him anywhere, but I found his wife on Facebook.
Well, yeah.
And he was in her pictures. And that was the first time I was seeing his face for 25 years. It was the same. It was the same face.
How did that make you feel?
Oh my God. I couldn't believe it.
I can imagine.
I literally couldn't believe it. I'm like, oh, you're the man. You look exactly the same. And I can remember everything.
I was going to ask you,
Yeah,
did you get
you can remember
flashbacks, everything? Yeah.
But it's not even like, it was almost deeper than a flashback. It's like I could feel it. I could feel the touch.
Yeah.
You know?
I can't even imagine. Yeah.
I could feel him. Like I could actually, if I shut my eyes, I could feel him there. So it's not like watching a video of what happened. It's just face value.
You're going through it again.
You could physically feel it. So I messaged him, and he blocked me. So I reported him to the police. The investigation lasted 9 months, and then was closed. Insufficient evidence. And yes, I know we're all super angry at that, but there's no evidence.
Yeah, no, I hear it. It's just frustrating.
It's just frustrating.
Yeah.
But what else can we do about it? You can't start prosecuting people because someone said something about them. You have to have evidence. Yeah. And we wouldn't want the justice system to be any other way, right? So that was the
But
case.
you know what? You made that step to do that, and that's actually amazing in itself.
Just to let him know I'm here.
Yeah. I know he did. Yeah. And I'm not going to forget it.
And if you're still doing it, our eyes are on you. We've got eyes on you now.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah. So, just to quickly add though, the police were excellent, right? I thought the police were excellent. They were definitely underfunded because when I gave my statement at the station, there was meant to be 2 officers there, one for my well-being and one actually doing the questioning. There was only one because of cuts doing the questioning. And also, what they should have done but didn't because they haven't got the funds is when I made the accusation and gave all my evidence, a 3-hour statement, right? Yeah. I told them about the touch. I explained the feel. I explained the taste of him. Right, that's enough to arrest him at his house and seize his computer. Right, because there could be valuable information on that computer. Yeah. It's probably likely he's looking at that kind of thing online. Right, because he has that thing. He has that tendency inside of him. But they didn't. They put him on voluntary arrest. So they called him. So he could get.
We could have erased it. Yeah.
That opportunity is gone forever. We'll never recover that opportunity. It's done. So I get the phone call from the police. They tell me the prosecution has been unsuccessful. I'm fuming. I'm angry. But I take that anger to the stage. And I start getting on the open mic and I start owning the stage now. Now there's no holds barred. I'm talking about what I want and you guys are going to listen because this is serious. Yeah. I start telling my story. I start talking about the prosecution attempt. It starts gripping people.
It's gripping me right now.
I'm glad. It's a crazy story, really. Even when I'm telling it, it's crazy. So I'm now building. I now set up social media platforms. I start getting somebody to record me on stage, and I start uploading it. I start getting traction. People are like, this is crazy. They start getting involved in the story. I start creating other posts. I start working with illustrators. I start getting known on the open mic scene. People are like, look, I've seen you like 5 times. This is crazy. I've got a camera at home. Do you want to turn that piece into a video? We start building this social media thing. I start meeting people who help me with the logo, help me with. It starts building, but I'm still unhappy and I'm still angry because he denied it. Yeah?
The cheek, yeah.
If you're going to do something like that to a child, then you should own up to that when you get caught. Not when you get caught out, but if you get called out, you should own up to that.
That's it.
Right? Still angry. So, I always knew I had one option, but I didn't like it. And that was to find out where he lives. The reason why I didn't like it is because I always felt like that was possibly me putting one foot in the illegal. It just doesn't feel
like,
too
am I
right.
allowed to do this?
It just doesn't feel too right. But I'd contacted him so many times, and I still kept messaging him. Just meet me, right? I messaged him.
You want answers?
Just meet me.
Yeah.
I'll do it in your location of choice. You can come with whoever you want. I will come on my own. We can do it in a public place, in a coffee shop. I just want to chat with you about what the hell went on 25 years ago, right? Not replying. I emailed him, not replying. So I managed to find out where he lives, and I went and knocked on his door, and he answered.
How did that feel?
Oh my God.
Face to face.
When I knew where he lived, I got out of my car and I was like, I'm not sure how this is going to go, but I'm very confident that I'm not going to lose my call. So I actually recorded it. I pressed voice record on my phone and put it in my pocket, so that
just in case he tries to,
he tried to make stuff up, right? And we had a confrontation, a verbal confrontation, which meant he was trying to slam the door shut. He recognised me instantly, but I had my foot in front of the door, right? And he was like, go away, I don't know what you're talking about, you're making... And I was there going, just calm down.
It's not funny, but I can imagine like he's losing his head and you're thinking, I'm the one that...
Just calm down. You know, we've got a few things to talk about, right? The confrontation went on for 5 minutes. His wife called the police, and the police arrived. 3 police cars. They blew the sirens on the lot. They came for me.
No way.
Right? What are you doing here? And I said, like this, that's a man that was sexually abusing me when I was a child, and I've come to speak to him about it. And it changed.
Of course.
Everything.
Yeah. Because you ultimately was the victim here.
Yes.
So.
And who's saying that? No one's making that up.
Exactly.
No man is making that up.
Literally.
Yeah. So that changed the aura, that changed the vibe. But in the end, I was arrested. He pressed charges against me for stalking, harassment, and assault. I had to go to court 3 times. I pleaded not guilty, but I was found guilty. And I have a restriction order, and also I got fined. But the day in court kind of was a bittersweet ending. The reason why...
I'm still annoyed about that because the cheek of him, everything he's done... Woosa.
Yeah. So, the court day started with me with potential 6-month prison sentence, because stalking and harassment is serious charges in this country.
But that's so cheeky of him.
It's so crazy. It's so crazy. But he's got to put a front on in front of his wife.
I'm so angry.
Yeah?
Yeah.
The court date started not in my favour, but after the questioning and him crumbling in the dock and me standing strong in the dock, after seeing him crumble, he didn't look at me once, by the way. I was like 5 metres away from me. He looked at the floor the whole time. Everybody in that courtroom could see that I was there for that reason. But my barrister said, they cannot let you get away with this because you can't go knocking on people's houses. The law has to slap you on the wrist in some way. Now, so they didn't give me a criminal record.
Okay.
They just slapped me with the fine and this restriction. So I take that. I'll take that. And the reason why I'll take that is because I did what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Stand in front of him and let him know
I see you.
it will never be forgotten, and you will constantly be thinking about me turning up again, which I will never do.
Yeah.
Right? Because I've done everything. It would be stupid for me to turn up again. I will never do that. Right? But just to let him know that I haven't.
He's gonna remember that forever. Yeah.
Now he can carry the load
Yeah.
of this,
Yeah.
and I can hold my story up high in victory. Right? Because something I try to do with my work is just let people, show people that the way I'm thinking about this is when you're sexually abused as a child, you are completely brainwashed and manipulated into something that you don't understand, right? There's a big secrecy around it. You've been groomed into that situation. And even though you are in some ways involved in the sexual action, it's not because you wanted it, it's because you were programmed to do that. And there's some kind of reward coming in. Maybe it's friendship, maybe it's praise, maybe it's any of the other many things.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
So when we're adults and we look back at that, I feel like I want to try to explain my thoughts about that, and that is, that was nothing to do with you. That was something that happened to you, right? So now we can own that story. Because if we don't own it, I feel like it will own us, and it's constant sadness and it's constant sorrow, and all that's going to do is drive us downwards, right? So that's just the way I feel about it. I want to talk more on my platforms about what the grooming process is.
Because people sometimes don't recognise it whatsoever. Most times they don't recognise it at all.
And they don't understand it.
Yeah.
If you haven't got a friend that's been through a situation like this, or you have never read anything or watched anything on this type of grooming a child in a sexual way, it's very difficult, understandably so, to get your head around how that would happen, right? But we just need to talk about it a bit more, right? Children are so vulnerable, easily influenced.
I always want to make friends all the time.
Yeah, right? One of the examples that I like to give is, I released a video on this actually. I shot a video about this concept. When Christmas is approaching, right, we tell the child the story of Father Christmas, right? We tell them year on year, yeah? And that story is so far from reality, it's unbelievable, right? Flying reindeer, Father Christmas coming every year, but because it's got a promise of presents, right? It's exciting, and the children believe it intensely, right? And then it's useful for the parents because in the month of December, you can adjust the child's behaviour. Yeah. Saying Father Christmas won't visit, right?
It's kind of manipulating the child. Let's be real.
It's kind of.
It really is.
I'm all for the story of Father Christmas. I think it's magical.
Yeah.
But if we look at it objectively, we can see this is a good example to show how easily a child can be manipulated and controlled.
Do it to my nieces and nephews. So.
Yeah, right? Yeah. So I just wanted to show how vulnerable children are and how easily this can happen.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. How do we stop it from happening? How do we prevent it from happening? Give the child the tools to know what's right or wrong and what they should speak up about and what they shouldn't.
100%.
Just give them the tools. Because if we've got children running around naive to this danger, they're the ones that are going to get caught out.
Right? And they won't even know how to speak up.
And they won't know that they need to speak up. They won't know that this is something that they should speak up about. Yeah. So then they get to 25 and they're like, I got exploited when I was a kid. I didn't even realise at the time. And that's when the very tough emotions come as an adult, right? I'm not talking about talking to a 5-year-old about, or a 7-year-old about sexual abuse. I'm just saying, let them know what areas of their body no one's to go near.
Yeah, that's it.
Right? Some people are like, oh, but that would ruin their innocence. And I'm like, what about the stranger danger conversation? Right? Yeah. That is a serious conversation with a child, and we are happy to implement that every year of their life, rightly so.
Because it's a stranger, but what about the people that they know?
Yeah, absolutely. But we say to the child, don't go away with strangers because don't talk to strangers, they'll take you away from mummy and daddy. That's a serious conversation. So if we're happy to have that, we should have that. Why are we not also being like, oh, these are the areas,
that no one should touch.
this, that nobody touches. And if they do, just let mum and dad know. It's simple, right? It's simple. We just need to get people to understand that it should be part of the conversation in the homes and hopefully part of the conversation in the education system.
100%.
So, yeah.
Wow, that was a lot.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's a crazy story.
So obviously I know that you, like you mentioned, you're very positive in terms of what you've gone through. What would you advise to people that have gone through what you've gone through, or maybe are still dealing with it, and they've kind of gone to the negative side? How would you advise them to deal or try to deal with it? I don't know.
So I would say and just before I say that, this has been a journey.
You did say there was a period where you was low moods and
absolutely, and those dips come every now and again, right? I'll never escape that.
Okay, so you still have that from time to time. Okay.
It's not positive and uplifting all the time. And maybe if you caught me on another day when I'm not feeling too good, this conversation would be a little different, right? There's often dips because you look back at when I see a boy who's 7, 8 years old, then I'm feeling bad because I'm like, oh my God, I was so young. So there are low points all the time. I don't think you can ever get away from that. We're trying to ride the wave. We're trying to ride the high points though. And I just feel like for anybody when they're in the low points, we have the internet now, which is a fantastic tool. We have social media now, which is a fantastic tool when used correctly. There are incredible communities online. There are incredible chat rooms online where you can interact with other people that have been through something similar. There are incredible articles that you can read. There's incredible help that you can read. If you haven't got people in a physical sense around you, then you can find these groups online. If you don't want to interact with anybody, because maybe the correct decision for somebody would be to never talk about it to anybody. And I wouldn't say that's a bad thing, because some people are like, I don't want to.
Because ultimately you didn't speak about it for years.
Absolutely. And that was working for me. I don't think, my advice would never be to anybody, you should speak out, right? Because for some people, I'm sure the correct decision is to run their life, do their thing without touching that. But if anybody's in a position where they don't want to actually talk to someone about it, but they want to kind of release it, I would say journaling.
I'm all for journaling. I love journaling. I do that as well.
Pen and paper, that's all you need.
That's it. It's still, you just need that release.
You just need to get it down on something. And for anybody where that's super scary, because it's their first time ever getting it out of their head, I would say write 2 sentences. But make sure you write them so when you read them back to yourself, you feel strong about it, right? Then set yourself a task. The following week, you write 2 more sentences and you rewrite the first ones, and make sure that when you read it, you feel proud to read it, right? Feel proud. So I'm not saying escape the horrificness of it. I'm just saying write it in a way that you feel strong when you read it. And do those 2 sentences every week, and you start to build a picture. And because it's a strong picture, it could rewire the way you think about the past. So that's some of my advice for people.
I love that. Thank you so much for coming in our show. We really appreciate it. We got you a little something, nothing special, but just a little something.
Thank you, I really appreciate that.
So yeah, thank you for coming in our show. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like, comment and subscribe down below, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye.